let's get going. All right, brothers, let's talk basketball. No games this past week because of COVID and that situation. We got both games postponed, but prior to that, we had two games. We had the Portland game and the Gonzaga game. So let's first talk about the Portland game. And Brett, why don't you lead us off here? What did you see in that game? And obviously a huge blowout for the Cougs. What did you see in that game?
Well, it was nice to see, Haarms obviously going 9 for 9 from the field. Obviously, Portland just had no match for our size. So we kept taking advantage of it. It was nice to see Haarms, dominate like that. And we were able to, a lot of games he's been double teamed and we were just able to get a lot of easy looks in the paint. It was nice also to see Harward came in. He went 5 for 5. So Haarms and Harward went 14 for 14 from the field combined. So productive baskets in the paint. Did what we needed to do in the second half. We were only up 6 at halftime because, again, 3-point shooting failed us in the first half. We started, to hit more. Nell hit 3. AB and Averett hit 2 as well. But frustrating first half, but 58 points in the second half. Again, just no match for our size. But Greg, as we know, Portland is 0-5 in the conference, so I don't know what to really make from that win.
There's really not much to make from it. I don't know that you can measure much of anything. It was nice to see the bigs have big games. That does not happen very often. Here's a question. How good is Haarms? I mean, he comes in, he's a kind of an unknown. You get some highlights from Purdue and you're like, oh, great. Who knows what the ceiling is on this guy? Maybe he comes in, maybe Pope forms him into some great guy. Maybe Haarms comes in here because he wants to get into the NBA. I don't see him as an NBA player. I just don't see it. I don't see he's got the size, but I just don't know that, he doesn't seem to have the body outside of the height to handle things down low very well. I don't see him with much of a shot other than up within a few feet of the basket. And he can perform, obviously, like here when he doesn't have contested shots down low. But I don't know, Brian, what are your thoughts on Haarms as far as his ceiling and where he can go? Haven't we seen a lot of him already this year?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think he's a solid. I mean, he's solid college player, but I think you're right. He's not an NBA starter. He might make a squad, but. He could be a guy that, is in the G League or even in Europe is probably more likely. I mean, we thought obviously this year that that there was more upside to his game, and I was expecting a little more, but he's been solid.
Oh, he's solid. There's also someone like that you don't ever see in the numbers. I mean, I'm sure Pope's got a way of measuring this, but just all the shots that are not taken because he's in there, that's something. That's definitely something above and beyond any of the blocks. He's definitely a deterrent to people coming in and driving the lane.
Well, and if you saw too, I mean, and going on to the Gonzaga game, he was basically unplayable. I mean, he played 16 minutes.
Yes.
And he couldn't stay on the floor. And I don't think, I do, to go along with your question, I do think the Gonzaga game is a good measuring stick of, who we're going to play, and when push came to shove, we went small and we played George. We started George. Loner played a lot. We went with our two more athletic forwards.
You're talking about in the Gonzaga game?
In the Gonzaga game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Haarms played 16 minutes.
Yeah.
he played 16 minutes and 10 of those were just, to start the half. I mean, he brought him in once again in the second half for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that before we got into the Gonzaga game that, Pope mixed things up against Portland, and he started both Lohner and George in that game. And then they also started, of course, in the Gonzaga game too. So I wanted to just touch on that real quickly. George had a really good game. Again, it's Portland, so it's not a great, opponent, but George had 13 points and 10 rebounds in that game. Really gave them a boost. I felt in that Portland game. What are your thoughts on that lineup change, instilling Lohner and back in the starting lineup as well as George?
Brett?
Yeah, I mean, look, Haarms, like I said, if we're talking about that lineup with the adjustment against Portland obviously worked, and he obviously went to it quickly against Gonzaga. Like I said, Haarms, he didn't score. He wasn't effective against Gonzaga's bigs. And our best lineup was playing George, playing Lohner, and going small and trying to spread out Gonzaga's bigs. Obviously, we had a hard time guarding Gonzaga, which we were going to have a hard time doing anyway. But we tried to put our best offensive lineup out there and our most athletic lineup out there. But Borsello was the only one that could really be an effective scorer. He got some good looks. I was surprised Gonzaga kind of they did double him on balls, but they did let him get loose. And he was 1 of 5 from threes. He didn't even really shoot threes well, but he was 9 of 16 for the game, was effective scoring. But other than, Johnson had 11, Averett had 14. Those were our guys in double figures. But when you guys watch the Gonzaga game, did you ever think we were close? Did you ever think we had a shot at winning?
I with a miracle.
I never thought we were going to win that game. And
it was a miracle, maybe.
And that's nothing to do with them being number one and them being better than us. Like anytime we cut it to 9, or even that time at the end near the end of the first half, we cut it to 7, or the second half we cut it to single digits. It's like I still knew that there was no way we were going to win.
Well, it was deja vu. We started off with a 15-10 deficit again. I mean, against the number 1 team in the country. I know there's no victory in a loss, but I mean, we only did lose by 11 points, even with that horrible start. And they just beat San Francisco, the other night by 40 or 45. So we played them tighter than almost any team this year. And yet we didn't play great. We didn't play great. And we still, but we only lost it by 11. The other thing I was going to touch on is, I mean, I can't remember what the turnover. I mean, we had a lot of turnovers. You guys know what the turnover number was in that Gonzaga game? We only had
oh no, that's the wrong game here. We had 16 and they had
we had 19.
12.
19.
19 to 12.
19 to 12.
19 turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we
turned it over a lot.
What happens if we only have 9 turnovers, or in that game? I mean, then it's a game. I mean, we only lost by 11.
No, we get 7 extra possessions just from the turnover battle, and then
no question.
And a couple of things I would say is though they did get it up to 20 points in the second half, and then we scored. We were down 15, and we scored 2 buckets at the end. They fell and we stole it, and we got another steal. And so it was nice we made it respectable. And I thought actually we were going to not foul down 9, so keep it under single digits. Gonzaga had, I think, 16 games in a row where they'd won by double digits. And so I thought we were going to not foul and lose by 9, to kind of break, at least because I think that would stand out, that we're the one team that was single digits of the last 16 games, but we fouled with like 7 seconds left to have it go back up to 11. But I do think that was misleading. In the second half, they broke it open to 20, and and so it was, and we just don't shoot the ball well enough. I mean, that's our only way to beat them. That's how we beat them last year, because we had we obviously we had Yoli, but we had guys with Haas and Toulson that could shoot, and we are threats to shoot threes. You got to make 12 3-pointers to beat Gonzaga, and at least. And we don't have. In the first, we ended up with 8. In the first half, we made 2. We made 2 threes in the first half.
What do you contribute those slow starts to? Same thing with USC and some of these losses. Boise State, we came back with a fury, but there was too little, too late. There's been at least a half a dozen games, it seems like, this year where we've had this really slow start, and it's not. What I've noticed is it's not that we're not getting open shots, we're not executing. We're just missing the shots.
Well, I think it's the lack. I think it's the lack of a second score. Scoring depth. And even unless AB really gets off to a good start, we just don't have enough. We just lack scoring. So we don't have a second and third guy that is consistent, that's going to get buckets. And so unless Barcelo is off to a hot start, I mean, we just don't have. That's what I contributed to. We just don't have enough scoring options, and we don't have consistent scoring options. So we that's why we're constantly, especially against good teams, we just struggle to score.
I think that's right.
Well, let's look forward here. So we have 2 games this week. Hopefully they won't be postponed. We play who is it? We play Loyola and
Pacific and Loyola.
Pacific on Thursday, Loyola on Saturday. Yeah.
So how many games do we have left?
3
on the schedule. We have 3 games, and then is there talk of us making up those postponed games? I know some of them might have been canceled, but is there talk of those games being played, the ones that have been postponed?
I just saw an article today saying right now they're not looking to make up any. They might eventually try to, but right now they're not trying to make up any games.
Yeah. And what about the WCC tournament, Brett? Is that something that's still on the table, or are they?
Yeah, it's on the table. They haven't canceled it yet, but I don't see how they're going to play it. I mean, unless ESPN really forces their hand, I don't think these conference tournaments are going to get played.
Well, why is Gonzaga going to play in it? Why would they ever play in it?
They won't. They won't.
So why?
And
I don't know if it really benefits BYU to play in it either. I mean,
it doesn't. Well, that's what Few said. He said
one of them.
Few said, and he made the point for BYU that they have to. It depends what they prioritize. If they're going to prioritize the teams that are in the tournament, Gonzaga and BYU, then there's no tournament, so if Few's not going to want to play.
Yeah.
So if Gonzaga's not going to play, I mean, why would you risk the conference? You have a number 1 team who's almost a shoo-in for the Final Four and a legitimate shot at winning a national championship for the conference, for WCC. Why would you risk that for that?
I'll tell you one place that would help BYU. It's unlikely to happen, but if we lose one of these 3 games and Pepperdine wins their games, they're going to finish ahead of us. We're tied right now with Pepperdine in second place.
I just don't think losing to Gonzaga in the WCC finals does anything for us.
No, yeah, well,
it doesn't elevate us.
All I'm saying is we could end up 3rd again.
Yeah,
in conference, and,
so
and not have something where we can at least say, "Hey, we're winning the conference." Gonzaga doesn't, or the tournament, and Gonzaga's not playing. But we could still come in 3rd. I mean, that's a real possibility. Pepperdine's decent, and they could win their next games, and we could lose one of these 3.
Well, Pacifica almost beat us in Provo.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a real possibility.
I mean, that went to double overtime.
So still a good chance that we make the tournament?
Right now, Lenardi has us as a 10 seed. We're not in the first 4 to get a bye or anything like that. So right now we're safe. But just because our conference, though, I mean, another one of these losses to a Pacific or to an LMU, I think we'd run the risk of being in like the 11 seed play-in game. So
Greg, if we do finish third, are we out? I mean, if Pepperdine finishes ahead of us in the league, are we?
I don't know. I think we're on the bubble. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't make it. If we lose if Pepperdine goes ahead of us and we lose one of these 3 games, I think it's very possible that we don't make it.
Well, if we win these 3 games, it's almost like we don't want to make up any games.
Yeah, you're right.
We don't want to play anymore.
If we win the 3 games, I think we're in.
That's what I think we should do. I think that should be our strategy. Just don't schedule any games unless like it's a Texas Tech or like we tried a top 15 team that's not going to hurt us.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt us, and we have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Yeah. But why would Texas Tech play us? Same type of thing. I don't know that anybody in the top 25, for the same reason we wouldn't want to play anybody else in the WCC. I don't know.
That's why we weren't. That's why we haven't been able to schedule a game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very tough.
All right, so we've got this new player also that we just signed today, or I guess they committed today. What's his name?
Atiki Ally Atiki.
Say it again.
Atiki Ally Atiki.
Atiki Ally Atiki. Do we know
6'11"
anything about this guy?
Yeah, he's a legit big man. Very, very athletic. 6'11". Had offers from Oklahoma, from San Diego State, from West Virginia. So
3-star. He's a 3-star.
Yeah. I mean,
he played at London
Academy.
Yeah.
Yep. Up in Canada.
So he come in as a freshman?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
He'd come as a freshman. That's what I read on the BYU Hoops TV thing.
Yeah.
And George was a big part of getting him. He saw George's video that BYU TV put online. Their social marketing team.
Oh, really?
Put together.
It's a great story, by the way.
It was a great story, yeah. Because George has a great story, and then what George has done.
I haven't seen that.
You should watch it, and it shows too what George has been able to do for people back home, and just the whole family app. Who just talks about BYU being a second family for him, and so that was big for this recruit, seeing that Georgia story was big in getting
Brian, where is he from?
London Academy.
Okay.
Tarzan
from Tanzania.
Yeah, he's from Tanzania. That's right. Okay. But yeah, no, look, I think he has a lot of upside. I mean, from what you read about him, very athletic, and I think this is a great get. I mean, look, how many times in the past would we get someone that's, not a member of the church that has an option to go to Oklahoma or West Virginia,
Yeah. And Oklahoma's having a good year. Same with West Virginia.
I mean, that's not someone we
San Diego State.
Get.
Yeah.
Again, that's just a testament to Pope and his ability to recruit. And I don't know if you guys saw it too. I mean, I think that the great thing about Pope is that he's going to be able to get these grad transfers too. I think there's always going to be people that are very interested in playing for him.
We're going to need them again.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm
looking at this right now. You look at, if you were, the way too early look at the starting 5 of next year, you're losing Averett, you're losing Haarms, you're losing AB.
Marcelo.
You've got Harward, and you've got Lohner, and you've got George.
Well, you got Spencer
and then
Johnson.
You've got your other guys that rotate in quite a bit, right? So you still have Johnson and Nell,
right?
Harding.
Yep.
But again, where's that other scorer? Where you're going to lose your top scorer again, like we did last year. We're going to lose our top scorer, and we don't have a second that we'd be looking forward to as being a big scorer. So we're going to need.
Yeah, and most likely you're not going to get it from a freshman. Yeah, you're right. You're going to have to look. You're going to have to again. I'm sure they're going to look real hard at the grad transfers and try to get another big name. I mean, Haarms was probably the top guy in the whole country that people wanted from as far as grad transfers. So he spoke very highly of Pope in that article I read the other day. about,
Well, he seems like a really good guy. So a really good locker room guy and very positive for the team. And
no, yeah, he that's the thing about Haarms. I've always seen him when he's on the bench celebrating the other guys in the wins, and so it's been a good pickup.
On a side note, Yoli Childs and Jake Toulson played against each other in their first pro game the other night.
In the bubble,
unfortunately, Toulson hurt his foot and is now out for the season and just got released by the Salt Lake Stars. So I feel really bad for him. I helped coach him when he was a young kid in Gilbert, Arizona, with the Arizona Warriors, with my buddy Ryan Cuff. So sad to see that he's out for the year, but Yoli had a good game. I think he had 11 points in his first game and played well. So it was good to see some former Cougs battle against each other and do well.
Well, it's good to see Cougs at all in the NBA.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, even if it's the G League, right? I mean,
even if it's the G League.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, football. Draft. What are any additional thoughts from our last discussion on Wilson? Is he just
more and more? It's more and more cemented. Not cemented. It's more and more buzz that he's going to be the second quarterback taken. McShay on ESPN last week said that he'd bet Scott Van Pelt's salary that he'd be the number 2 pick. Mike Lombardi, who has a podcast called the GM Shuffle, who worked for the Patriots and for Bill Walsh and Al Davis, tons of sources after 30 years in the league. And he said all the buzz he's hearing from his sources are that, Wilson's going to be the second quarterback taken, everything. So just very, very credible. It seems more and more that he's separated. Now they still have to have their pro days, but that definitely seems to be. And then as far as the people in the desert, as they say, as Brent Musburger says, with the Vegas on Bet Online, he's Zach's minus 175 to be the second quarterback taken. So you have to bet $175 to win 100. So obviously very much over 50% that he would be the second quarterback taken. And the next guy is Justin Fields at plus 150, meaning you'd have to bet $150 to win 100. So Zach clearly, it literally is the odds on, pretty decently the odds on favorite to be the second quarterback right now.
Well, I saw, what was it, a couple of weeks ago that David Pollock from ESPN, college football guy.
Yeah, from Georgia. Yeah.
So he went on ESPN and was raving about Wilson and saying that he was, that this guy could make throws like Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and I think it was Ryan. Who's the other guy on ESPN? Brett. That anyway, he was. I watched him the other night or the other day, and he came on and said, I saw Pollock talking about this kid from BYU like this. And I was just like, what is he talking about? Like, why is he bringing up names like Mahomes and Rodgers? And then he said, I actually went back and looked at his film, and that's who I'm talking about too. Like, this kid can make throws like Rodgers and Mahomes can. Yeah. So he was when he really looked at the film and saw what he could do. Right. He was like,
I think it was Ryan Clark.
Ryan Clark. That's who it was. Yeah, it was Ryan Clark.
Yeah, the Steelers, because he's an NFL guy. He's an NFL guy, so he hadn't seen him play.
So, he hadn't seen him play. So
he said the same thing. He said that he should go second, and then he's getting all the buzz. Like people that are diving into his film that are NFL scouts, like they're like, once they watch the film, they get it.
So I've got a rundown here. This is from today of sources on what not which number of quarterback he's going to be, what pick he's going to be. NFL.com has him as pick number 2. CBS Sports has him as pick number 2. CBS analyst Josh Edwards has him as pick number 2. The only difference on that one is NFL.com has him going to the Carolina Panthers. through a trade with the New York Jets. The others all have him going to the Jets. CBS analyst Ryan Wilson has him pick number 2 to the Jets. Pro Football Focus pick number 2 to the Jets.
And by the way, these are all the major, these aren't offbeat.
No, these are all the major ones. SI NFL Draft Bible has him as pick number 9
to Denver, right?
To Denver. Mel Kiper has him as pick 4
to the Falcons.
To Atlanta.
Yeah.
NBC Sports pick 9 to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Pro Football Network pick 2, and Tankathon pick 2 to the New York Jets. So there's some variable in there.
I'd be shocked if he.
Are we getting overhyped?
He's not going to follow it.
Is there a little bit of overhype about him going as the number 2 pick specifically?
I don't think
somebody else sneak in there that's not a quarterback besides Justin Fields.
Well, if Darnold, if the Jets keep Darnold, but I would think they would trade the pick and just get more picks. They're going to keep Darnold.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if the Jets keep Darnold, you would think they would trade the pick and someone would go up and get him. The NFL with this year too, to combine this draft is the NFL this year, unlike any other year. They're talking about it will be like any other year with quarterback movement, free agents. You have the stuff going on with Deshaun Watson, but you have, but guys are going to be able to move. Wentz, Derek Carr. There's 7 or 8. Jimmy G. There's so many, a lot of movement, and so.
Well, plus teams, you just had Goff and
Stafford.
Stafford move.
Yeah. No, there's 7 or 8 quarterbacks that are going to be on the move. So teams are going to trade up. I would be, like I said, I catch myself. I'm like, well, am I being a homer here? But I mean, to have guys like McShay say he'd bet Van Pelt's salary that he goes number 2 by either the Jets or someone trading up, or this guy, Mike Lombardi, again, him saying, not only did he say to go number 2, he'd say, to his listeners, he said, if you see a bet of Zach Wilson in the top, being a top 5 pick, you grab that bet right now. If they'll let you take it, meaning, because obviously people can bet on the draft now, obviously. So I think him being, I don't see him falling out of the top 5. I don't, because teams are going to trade up.
Fields would have to be taken first if he's going to go beyond the top 5. Right?
But him and Fields could go 2 and 3.
Sure.
Or the Falcons at 4.
Yeah.
Like the Falcons are going to take a quarterback because, like some guy made the point today, which is a good point, is even if the Falcons are going to have Matt Ryan for another year or 2, they're never going to be able to draft 4th again. Like, when are they going to be? They're not thinking they're going to be. So if they have a Fields or a Wilson, they got to take them now, or they're not going to be able to draft in the top 5 again.
Sure.
Yeah. No,
good point.
I don't see any possibility of him going to at number 9 to Denver. I think if Denver wants him, they would have to trade up to get him. I think the farthest,
or Carolina.
I think the farthest he slips is number 4 to Atlanta. But I feel like he's definitely going number 2.
It's 2 or 3 to Houston. Someone's going to trade with Houston too to get one of those guys.
If he goes in the top 4 picks, he will be the highest ever draft pick for the Cougars.
Yeah.
If he's in there. Can you guys name the 2 players that went in the first round, number 5? And by the way, Steve Young's not one of them, right? Because he went to the USFL.
Right.
He did go in the number 1 pick in the supplemental draft from the USFL.
One's got to be McMahon. McMahon of the Bears.
All right, McMahon.
Yep. And then
and there's one more. He's actually was the last one taken in the first round. The last player we've had taken in the first round.
Was it Ziggy?
Ziggy.
Yeah, Ziggy.
Ziggy went number 5 and McMahon went number 5.
John Tate.
I'm very impressed with both of you. That's pretty good.
Yeah, John Tate went like 14 or 15, I think. That'd be a great question. How many first round picks have we had?
That would be a great question. Let me come up with some magic. You know what? 9, Brett. 9.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. We've had 9. Let me tell them to you. Mark Wilson, number 15.
Yep.
Jim McMahon, number 5. So Mark Wilson was our first ever in the first round. Todd Shell from Arizona boy here, first round.
Wait, who'd you say after Wilson? Wilson was to the Raiders, right?
Wilson went to the Raiders, McMahon to the Bears.
Don't say the team. I was going to try and guess it.
What's
San
that?
Francisco. I'm going to try and guess the team.
Okay. How about next would be Trevor Maddich.
Sorry, Washington football team.
I have no idea.
New England.
I don't know who are some of these guys.
Was it New England?
He went number 28. Jason Buck.
Bengals.
He ended up playing in the Bengals. I don't know if that might be right. It was
Bengals.
Yeah,
Bengals.
Trevor Maddich went to New England,
which I said.
And Jason Buck did go to Cincinnati.
Don't ever doubt your younger brother, Greg.
We actually have another one here in the same year. In the same year, 1987, with Jason Buck.
Govea?
He actually went higher than Jason Buck. Jason Buck went at 17. Sean Knight.
Oh, yeah, to Atlanta.
Went number 11 to New Orleans first.
Oh, New Orleans.
Went later. Went to New Orleans, both in the first round. And what positions did both of them play?
Defensive end.
Defensive end. When was the last time? Can you imagine BYU with two starting defensive ends that went in the first round to the NFL?
Yeah. Haven't seen that.
Yeah. And then we've got John Tate.
14th to the Chiefs.
14th for the Chiefs. Rob Morris.
To the
Colts.
Yeah, look how long we went with Rob Morris. What year was he then?
He was 99, right?
99 all the way to 2013.
I just know because
years.
I just know because Brian
without a first round pick.
And Brian still has his Rob Morris choo-choo train that he's still freight train. He's still
I know he sits on his couch and still toots it after every touchdown.
I will say Morris was one of the most enjoyable defensive players we've ever had to watch.
Yeah, he was great.
That guy was so good in college. I mean,
the freight train.
He was great.
Yeah, he was fun. So, we're going to have finally another first rounder. It would be nice to see him go. Now, of course, Steve Young would have almost for sure, not for sure, but almost for sure been the very first pick to also the Cincinnati Bengals if he would not have gone to the USFL.
Yeah, because that would have been the 84 draft, right?
Yeah.
The Patriots had the first pick. They picked Irving Fryer, but the first quarterback taken. Wow. The first quarterback taken in the NFL. Wow, there really wasn't. When Irving Fryer. That's amazing.
84. Well, that's the same year.
There's no quarterback taken.
Was it Steve Young and Herschel Walker the same year?
They were the same year in the supplemental draft. I don't remember if they were the same year coming out.
Carl Banks, Kenny Jackson, Bill Moss.
Because they both went to the USFL.
Right. That's what I was saying.
The first quarterback taken in the 84 draft. This is amazing. That has to be the last time that a quarterback didn't go in the first round. First quarterback was Boomer Esiason, the 38th pick.
Wow.
So anyway, he would have gone. Yes. Anyway, but he'll definitely. Yeah, Zach will be our highest pick. I don't see how he falls out of the top 5.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw the other day, but some people were saying, I guess, questioning his athleticism, and I don't see how you could question that. But if you look at the film, I saw a video yesterday of him doing a little tomahawk 2-hand jam on the basketball court, which I don't think he could do in high school. So he's got some hops now, and obviously put on some strength over the last couple of years. How can you question
his athleticism? Anybody who's watched him play, I mean,
I don't know.
The guy's a very decent runner.
Well, I did see an article today that said that they don't believe, he's listed at 6'3", I think 210 or 215.
I don't believe either of those numbers either.
Yeah. So he says, this guy said he's 6'1" and maybe a little over 200.
I think he's 6'2", and I think he's maybe 205. That would be my guess.
Well,
because I've seen him next to players I know well that I've stood next to. So I've got a very good idea of how tall he is. I think he's probably 6'2". He's probably, or just very close underneath it. And he's probably just a little bit under, kind of like your size, Brian. And
I was just going to say, Greg,
not quite to where I am at 6'2" total, right at the line.
You're like what, 6'1.5", and I'm like close to 6'3". So
well, in the next 10 years, I probably will get down to that range. That's very possible.
All I know is that I'm the tallest Mattson alive. End of story.
Yeah, well, it's possible. I mean, anything's possible. Anything's possible. All right.